Hi everyone, welcome back to my lab and today's video, which is going to be a brand new series on my channel, which I'm calling Beauty R&R. I'm going to be reviewing and ranking 5 beauty products that I've tried out recently. If that sounds like something that interests you, then definitely stick around. If you're new here, I'm Yori. Thank you for clicking on my video. I hope you're going to enjoy this one. Consider subscribing and joining me for a future one. Before I get into the video, I have to thank my first 5 commenters on my last video. Thank you so much for the lab love. I really appreciate it, and I love chatting makeup in the comment section with you. Those of you with YouTube channels, I'm going to indicate that with the little YouTube logo, as well as linking them down below, because it's always fun to find new people to support on YouTube. Now, without any further delay, let's go ahead and get into the most recent 5 products I've been trying out. If you're interested in today's look, I created it using the Thompson Tiny Marbles palette in collaboration with Sydney Grace, and I do have a video of that up on my channel. If you're interested in checking that out, definitely do so. Now let's go ahead and look at these products. The first one I'd like to mention is the Dose of Colors Concealer. This isn't relatively new in terms of the pace of releases of beauty products, honestly, but it's new to me, and this is the Dose of Colors Meet Your Hue Full Coverage Concealer. So I purchased mine in the shade Light Medium 11, and even though it looks a little bit lighter in the packaging, it does suit my skin tone quite well. You can see that when you actually open it up, the color on the doe foot is considerably darker than what you're seeing in the bottle. I have to say that this concealer is very Tarte Shape Tape-ish in the sense that it is a full coverage concealer. In my opinion, it's a hydrating formula, but in the sense that it also has a tendency to crease. So I don't use a lot of concealer at all. I was using this in a couple of recent videos, so I've gotten to play with it quite a bit. And I find that when I place it underneath my eyes, it's a little bit heavy, even when I apply just a tiny bit. My preferred method of application is going to be with a beauty sponge because it shears it out a little bit. And I think for my more mature under eyes, it creases and it looks a little bit too heavy, especially since I have a tendency to favor more lightweight foundations. Something too heavy like this has a tendency to look a little bit stark. So for me personally, this hasn't been a favorite concealer. It's just a bit much for my preference. I need something thinner, a little more hydrating, that's going to kind of sink into the skin. I feel like this one sits on top, and then if I powder it, it kind of cakes up a little bit in my little nooks and crannies under my eyes, and so it's not working out the absolute best for me. Another product that I recently tried out is from Kaya, and this is the Cutie Bento Creamy Lip and Cheek Duo. Now I have to admit, I didn't apply this on my lips, but I've applied both shades on my cheeks. The shade that I have is Juicy Watermelon, so this is option 1, and I like this option because you have a more neutral version and then you have a very corally kind of version, so you have a lot of versatility in your blush colors. This is actually quite nice. I know that they weren't receiving a lot of love because they released this kind of right around the time that Fenty Beauty released their blushes, and the Fenty Beauty blushes were getting a lot of hype, and even those were getting criticized for being small, but this is much smaller than even that. That being said, you really don't need a lot of product. The price point of this one is a little bit lower as well, and I found that I can apply it really nicely with a brush as well as with my fingertips on an unset base or over powder, and it works well. One of the things I wanted to mention the most about this is that the longevity of the product is actually quite high for an emollient kind of cream, and I found that when I applied this blush to my skin, it lasted throughout the day. I like how compact it is. It's definitely something that you can toss in your bag. I don't have a tendency to multitask my products very much, but if I wanted to do kind of a monochromatic look, I can definitely apply this on the lips as well as the cheeks, but I've been applying it on the cheeks, and for all the reasons that I mentioned, this is actually quite nice and quite small. I have been trying a skincare item. This is the Ole Henriksen Glow 2.0 Dark Spot Toner, and when this released, it was all the rage. Everybody was fussing about it. You can see I haven't used it that much, but I don't use a lot of toner. I mean, you don't need a lot of toner, and this one has high potency AHAs, and I was reading the ingredients on this. I don't have the box anymore, but when I was reading the ingredients, I noticed that this has witch hazel in it, and a lot of times people are critical of products that have witch hazel, and when they were raving about it, they didn't mention it. Now, me personally, I'm not bothered by witch hazel. One of the toners that I like the best is by Dickinson's Witch Hazel Hydrating Toner. It's alcohol free, and that toner costs like $5.99 on Amazon. And it's great. And you know, toning is actually one of my favorite skincare steps. I feel like after I cleanse my skin, it's just a nice refreshing feeling to run a cotton pad with toner over my entire skin. And one thing I noticed about this one, I don't know if it's the witch hazel or some of the acids that are in it, because it also has AHAs in it, but this one packs a little bit of a tingle, to be honest. And I noticed that one day that I was doing eye swatches and I had removed my eye makeup a couple of times that day. When I applied the toner, it stung a little bit, and the toning step is really kind of one of my favorite steps in my skincare routine, like I mentioned, and I don't want it to hurt. It doesn't hurt all the time, but if my skin is at all irritated, it kind of has a little bit of a bite to it, to be honest, and so I don't think I'll be repurchasing this one. I'm not disliking it right now, but I'm also not in love with it. And I like the Good Molecules Niacinamide toner quite a bit, and the Dickinson's toner at the drugstore quite a bit as well. Those are a lot more affordable than this one. So I don't hate it, but I don't love it. I also did a video reviewing the Lucy and Besame collection. I didn't see a lot of videos on this collection at all. I was actually really impressed by the quality of the eyeshadows. Their mattes blend really nicely. The color story was a little confusing to me. Like, I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do with it, but I ended up creating a really pretty look, and I've been enjoying the collection so far. But I wanted to focus today on the lipstick. If you wanted to check out that video, definitely do so. This is their What a Peach lipstick, and I did mention in my video how mine arrived damaged, but this is the one that I opted to share in that video. That's the one I was wearing in the shade What a Peach. And this lipstick wore beautifully throughout the day. I didn't reapply it, not even once, and I actually went out that day. I had my mask on. I took my mask off. It hadn't budged and it hadn't faded. Now, I'm not saying that it's transfer proof, but it's definitely long wearing. This was my first experience with the Besame formula, and I am really, really impressed. It's a comfortable, smooth, opaque matte color. It was really beautiful, really wearable. I can see why this shade sold out. I think that they have this one available for a pre-order again or something like that, a restock. But I'm so glad I picked up this shade. So glad. I did notice that with the packaging, the lid does kind of come off a little bit easier. It's not something that I would worry about in my purse maybe falling open, but I wish it was a little bit more snug personally. The packaging itself is beautiful with Lucille Ball on the front and then a couple of Swarovski crystals, I think. I'm not sure if they're Swarovski, but they're rhinestones, and they're lovely, just lovely. I was really impressed with the formula. I think it's really comfortable, and I would definitely be looking into more lip products from their line. And this one is special, of course, because it's Lucy. The last product I've been trying is by Guerlain. This is the L'Essentiel Natural Glow Foundation 16-hour wear. It says it hydrates and protects from pollution. I picked mine up in the shade 35N, and on the bottle it looks really, really light. Like on the camera, I feel like it's looking a little bit darker than it looks in person. When I pulled this out of the box, I used shade matchers online to figure out what my shade was gonna be. I was like, wow, this is not gonna work. I don't know who I can give this to. It looked a little bit pink, but when you actually pump it out, it's darker than on the bottle. It's kind of like the same as the concealer. I don't know what that is. Like, it's just some sort of eye trick with the glass bottles. The bottle itself is really pretty. It's kind of got this asymmetric shape with the cap kind of angled sideways, and it does have a pump, so that's definitely nice. You are receiving a full fluid ounce in the foundation. Now, this is a pretty high-end foundation, and I have to describe it as a natural finish. I would say natural finish, medium coverage. So this is about as heavy as I personally like to go, and I apply it quite lightly. I did find that it doesn't play well with every kind of primer. I tried it with a variety of different primers and I found that it works best for me with a hydrating primer that has a slight bit of tack to it, because then as I'm applying the foundation grabs, but it still blends out in such a way that it's not such a thick layer. It's kind of hard to explain, but that's just been the way that it's worked well for me. It works really well with my Ciate Watermelon Burst primer, which I love so much. That's a hydrating primer. And my favorite method of applying it is with a brush. I have been applying most of my foundations with brushes recently, and I've been enjoying that quite a bit. This one was really nice. It was surprising that I liked it because this foundation was a little bit polarizing. Some people really loved it, some people really hated it. I'm on the I really like it camp. It looks really pretty. It's not as luminous or as hydrating as most of the foundations I personally go for, like the Ilia Serum foundation is one of my absolute favorites. The Kojando Aqua Luminous foundation is one of my absolute favorites. The MAC Face and Body. So those very sheer, very liquidy kind of foundations are the ones that I have a tendency to absolutely adore. So when I'm looking for something that's a little bit more mattified, it's probably the wrong word to call it mattified, because it's not mattified. It's like a natural finish, very skin-like finish, and depending on what kind of setting spray you use, you can also tweak the finish of the product itself. Powders layer beautifully over it, so do cream products. I'm really happy I have this one in my collection. I've been enjoying it. So now that I've told you all about the products, let's go ahead and rank them from 5 being my least favorite to number 1 being my absolute favorite. So coming in at number 5, it's going to be the Dose of Colors concealer. I still prefer my Cover FX concealer. That one is matte, but it's somewhat lighter weight, a little less emollient, and so it doesn't crease as much. That one I don't even have to set. This one I have to play with to get it to work. I could get it to work, but I don't want to work that hard. So number 5, Dose of Colors concealer. Number 4, the Ole Henriksen toner. Toning is my favorite step in skincare. It shouldn't hurt, ever. So yeah, I think it's fine, but there's more affordable options that I enjoy more. So why spend the money on this one? Number 4. From the next 3, it's going to be hard because I really like all of them. I think number 3 is going to be the blush, just because I have a lot of other cream blushes, and for instance, the Stila convertible cheek colors are very similar to this, and I've had those in my collection already, so it's not such a unique product. It just happens to be a good product in its own category, so that'll be number 3. Number 2 is going to be the foundation, and I already told you all the things about the foundation, which leaves number 1 being the lipstick. Now, I may be biased because of the packaging, to be honest. It's a really close call between the foundation and the lipstick, but today the Besame Cosmetics Lucy What a Peach lipstick reigns supreme at number 1. Let me know what you thought of my rankings. Did it kind of go along with what you thought? Have you tried out any of these products and what did you think of them? I would love to hear, especially if you have any tips on how to make that concealer work a little bit better. Maybe there's something else I missed, but right now it's just bottom of the barrel. That's everything for today's video. I hope you did enjoy it. Let me know what you think of this series. Let me know what you're liking and not liking so much about my channel. I'm always open to constructive feedback. I really love and appreciate your support. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. I hope you're staying safe and healthy, and I look forward to seeing you again very, very soon on my next one. Bye-bye.